Morning. Governor Cooper has declared May 2022 as Military Appreciation Month. National Military Appreciation Month was introduced by Senator John McCain in 1999. It is a time set aside to honor our military, our soldiers, sailors, and all current and former military personnel. It is a time to reflect on what they do, what they have done, where they served, and especially all that they sacrificed. We are glad that you joined us this morning in observing this patriotic month and honoring our military as we hear powerful stories and are informed of the great work being done by our special guests, Kelly Fasser, Michelle Horn, Betsy Mercado, and Banna Miller. They will share their and others' experiences and explain why and how their mission, dedication, and tireless work honor service members and veterans and support military families every day of the year. Before we go further into today's program, I would like to do some housekeeping. As always, keep your microphones on mute throughout the entire session. Please send all of your questions to the chat room. The chat room will be monitored and we will work to make sure all of your questions are answered in an orderly fashion. This session will be recorded and you will be able to view this program later on demand. Speaking of on-demand recordings, you will be notified soon of this program's availability and all of May's programs when they are ready to be viewed. May will be a busy month, and we are pleased to announce the following upcoming program in May. May 25th, Older Americans Month. We also have events planned in June. On June 15th, LGBTQ Pride Month, and Juneteenth celebration on June the 22nd. We look forward to seeing you there. I'm going to turn the program over to Ariel Aponte, Assistant Secretary of Military Affairs, and he is going to give some opening remarks. Secretary Aponte.
Fifth Governor of the state of North Carolina, Governor Roy Cooper, and Secretary Walter E. Gaskin of the North Carolina Department of Military Veterans Affairs. As we all know, the state of North Carolina is fortunate to be the home of the most renowned military bases in our nation and the thousands of brave men and women stationed at them. Our active reserve guardsmen and their families are a vital part of our community. It is our mission as a state to honor and salute our service members who took the oath and answered the call to serve, as well as wives, husbands, mothers, and fathers who played an important role in their families while their spouse answers the call and sacrifice for our country. Today in the state of North Carolina, I will provide you some stats. Approximately 103,462 are active duty, 21,137 are National Guard and Reserve, 66,000 are military spouses, 52,945 are military connected children within the K through 12 grades, 21,055 are military connected students within the UNC system, 4,159 are military or veteran connected state, council, or state of board or commission temporary employees. Of that figure, 756 are females and 3,403 are males. So there's a lots of work to do as a state to increase our gender diversity for military connected employees in the state of North Carolina. However, I want to publicly thank OSHR's efforts in recently launching the Military Spouse Transition Network, which is spearheaded by Christian Semick and Andrea Bennett. This program helps to retain spouses in the state employee careers between personnel changes of station that require them to move between states. Great job, ladies, and continuing to work with our department. As stated, the month of May is marked officially as Military Appreciation Month, a special month for both those in and out of the military. Not only we pause on Memorial Day to remember the sacrifice and service of those who gave all, but the month also serves as several other military anniversary events, including Military Spouse Appreciation Day and Armed Forces Day. Congress designated May as a National Military Appreciation Month in 1999 to ensure the nation was given the chance to publicly show their appreciation for our troops past and present. Each year, the governor makes a proclamation reminding citizens of North Carolina the important role of U.S. Armed Forces have played in the history and development of our country. Therefore, at this time, I'll be reading the proclamation by the governor that states the state of North Carolina, Governor Roy Cooper, Military Appreciation Month 2022 by the order of the governor proclamation. Whereas generations North Carolinians have proudly served our nation during times of conflict and peace. Whereas our brave service member women, their families, their loved ones have made the immeasurable sacrifices to protect the freedoms we enjoy. Whereas North Carolina's military presence is the 5th largest in the nation and has a total of economic impact of over 66 billion annually of our state. Whereas North Carolina is home to more than 100,000 active duty military personnel and 725,000 military veterans and 21,000 National Guard and Reserve call this state home. And whereas the service members and veterans are true leaders in our communities who impart courage, honor, valor, and dignity to their fellow North Carolinians. And whereas it is our responsibility this month and throughout the year to honor, support, and recognize North Carolina service members, veterans, and remember the deep gratitude that those who have served and given their life in defense of our freedom. And now, therefore, I, Governor Roy Cooper, State of North Carolina, do hereby proclaim May 22 as Military Appreciation Month in North Carolina and commend its observance to all citizens. Again, I just want to highlight in closing that the DMVA is here for you, for all of our active duty, our veterans, our service members. Miss Andrea Allard, who's on the call, is our Transition Service Director for the department. She can connect you with services and resources for veterans and transitions, but also connect you with organizations such as NC Serves, NC Strives, and NC for Me that focuses on employment, benefits, and education. Lastly, want to highlight kind of some of the efforts that we're working as a department. We're currently working with OSHR and Department of Commerce with an emphasis on military spouse licensure. We're trying to expedite the requirement. Currently, there's statute that says 6 to 8 weeks, but we want to refine it to 2 weeks through self-identification. Military spousal employment preference, we would like to, for the short session, to the same level that they do it at the federal level, to do it at the state level where there's a military spouse that she gets preference for employment. Third, we're looking at military connected students, focusing on the National Guard and Reserve. There's current statute in the MIC3 commission that focuses on active duty. But as we know, the state of North Carolina has a National Guard and Reserve units. So we want to make sure that that population of Reserve and National Guard students are taken care of. And then lastly, we're working on a interagency agreements, which is cooperative agreements, to ensure that cities and counties are encouraged to work with our North Carolina installations. Bottom line, to help our service members, veterans, and their families, it takes imagination and creativity. So I encourage all of our partners on this call to go out there when someone tells you no, when you see policy, there's ways to get there. How do we get there to the next level? It's a population that needs to be served. It takes a lot of collaboration. Our hats off to OSHR, Department of Administration, with a lot of the programs that they're doing with the Andrea Harris Task Force, with the Women and Youth and Council, DHSS that focuses on homeless, Department of Commerce that does NC Bold and NC Works. Again, there's a lot of collaboration with state agencies. We just got to all come together. So when you do a lunch and learn like this, we exchange ideas. So hats off to Regina for putting this together. You have my support anytime. If there's no questions for me, feel free to reach out to Miss Andrea. She is the glue. She will guide you through it. And again, thank you for your service. Thank you for your time. And OSHR, it's a great, beautiful partnership that we have with you guys. Thank you again.
Thank you, Secretary Aponte. We appreciate those remarks and the information you shared with us. I am going to go ahead now and introduce our guest speakers, and it is an honor for me to do that. And hopefully we'll have a slide up. I don't know if we'll be able to do that, but I will just go ahead and start reading. Our first speaker will be Kelly Facer. Kelly is a senior vice president at Military Times. Her family heritage dates to the Civil War. More recently, Kelly's grandfather was a United States Naval Academy graduate and Navy captain, and her father, a retired Army colonel and Vietnam helicopter pilot. Today, Kelly leads many efforts with the military-connected families through her work at Military Times and Defense News. For the past 20 years, she has been working in advertising and media, and for the past 6 years at Military Times, where she has helped develop programs to support active duty members, veterans, spouses, and their families. Some of those efforts include the Spotlight Program, with donations of over $9 million of media to 150 plus veteran service organizations in the past 3 years. Service Members of the Year, now in its 21st year of recognizing outstanding active duty service members, and the Chairman's Awards Program with Fisher House, awarding $250,000 annually to 5 companies that best embody military service and business. Thank you, Kelly. Michelle Thorne. Michelle is Vice President of Communications at Fisher House Foundation. She retired from the Army in 2019 after 21 years. She served on multiple overseas tours, including in Germany, Kosovo, Iraq, and Afghanistan. Michelle began her career as a transportation officer and then transitioned to public affairs. In her final position at the Pentagon, she served as a press officer and spokesperson for the Undersecretary for Research and Engineering and the Secretary of Defense. Throughout her career, Michelle advocated to friends and family about the Fisher House mission and is honored to continue to serve those who serve. Through the foundation, Michelle and her husband Riker, also an Army retiree, come from a family of veterans that served in World War II, Vietnam, many conflicts since. In her role, she helps tell the story of Fisher House to bring awareness to the American public. Thank you, Michelle. Betsy Mercado. Betsy is committed to serving Army families in the military community. She has over 20 years of experience volunteering with a variety of Army and military units and various nonprofits. Betsy is co-founder and executive director of Objective Zero Foundation, a tech nonprofit focused on the social connectedness and wellness of service members, veterans, and their families and caregivers. In this capacity, she has onboarded 2,400 suicide prevention peer support volunteers and served more than 20,000 community members through mobile and web app technology to provide peer support, training, and access to health and wellness resources. Betsy has served as a panelist for the American Association of Suicidology Military Vet Preference Conference panel on leveraging innovative data to drive upstream veteran suicide prevention, and she has participated in a roundtable discussion for America's Warrior Partnerships 2021 Warrior Symposium with Dr. Deb Stone, lead scientist of the Centers for Disease Control Suicide Prevention team. Thank you, Betsy. And we have Banna Miller. Banna is the Senior Director of Marketing at Children of Fallen Patriots. She manages the organization's public relations and digital marketing efforts, driving its mission to provide college partnerships and educational counseling to military children who have lost a parent in the line of duty. An active duty Army spouse with nearly 2 decades of experience crafting communications and brand strategy across multiple industries and organizations, Banna is also a passionate storyteller dedicated to shedding light on the strengths and challenges of military family life. She graduated from Syracuse University with degrees in public relations and marketing management. We thank each of these ladies for joining us today, and I am going to turn things over to Andrea Allard. As Secretary Aponte said, she's the Director of Transition Services at the North Carolina Department of Military and Veterans Affairs. Thank you, Andrea.
Good morning, everyone. I am Andrea Allard, and I am a U.S. Army veteran who served as an interrogator, a linguist, and a psychological warfare specialist during my time. Transition Services is a new unit within DMVA that focuses on the military and women veterans and military spouses, homelessness and suicide prevention, diversity, and transition services for active duty service members to veteran status, as well as all the various transitions that they experience in their lives, such as education to employment, employment back to education, becoming a caregiver, all the way to widow and widower assistance. DMVA is here to support our military veterans and their families. So this morning, I am excited to present our speakers again. And so right now, we're going to move to our very first speaker, Kelly Facer. Welcome. Please let us know about your experience and your work with Military Times.
Good morning. Thank you for having me. Military Times is a property that's been around for over 75 years. It is the independent voice of the troops. Our motto has always been to serve those who serve. About 3 or 4 years ago, my business partner and I decided that we wanted to make sure that we were doing more and truly holding true to our motto. So we developed what we call our Vsf Spotlight Program. This is where we set aside advertising mediums in digital, print, social, and other areas that we offer to various veteran service organizations at no charge. Initially, we'd started off with groups such as Fisher House and TAPS as being the beneficiaries, and then realized there was a greater need with smaller groups as well to be able to get their names out there, allow veterans to find their services, and then also to support donations to keep those programs running. To date, we've donated over $9 million to various veteran service organizations through cash and media, and I expect that this year we'll top at over 10 million. Through this program, we've supported over 100 to 150 VSO partners, and we'll continue to do so as we keep growing this program. We have a couple of different options for groups. So if you have groups that you know of that could benefit from some of our media or just having the ability to be listed in directories, please let us know. We not only have the VSO Spotlight, which, as I mentioned, is the donation of media, but we also have a small business spotlight. This is a free of charge directory that is open to any veteran-owned business or nonprofit. They can come list their business and organization, and people will be able to search this out as we promote it. We also have a legacy spotlight. We realized that there was a need out there to truly honor our service members who have passed on. Many groups are charging $500 to $1,000 for obituaries. We no longer print obituaries, but we did create a dedicated area on our site for families to be able to come post obituaries and in memoriams of their loved ones for free. As well, we are in process of developing our leadership spotlight, which will be various sessions and panels where we bring groups in to talk about how to further your veteran service organization or your business with business leaders in the community, as well as nationally recognized names. On top of that, we have our Service Member of the Year program, which is a program that we developed 21 years ago in John McCain's office to be able to recognize a service member from each of the branches as well as a Veteran of the Year. This program looks to honor a service member who not only has a well-rounded combat service record, but also has extensive community outreach and being able to support those programs. This program is what introduced us to Objective Zero. Chris Mercado, Betsy's husband, was our Soldier of the Year, I believe in 2017 or 2018, but because of his work with Objective Zero was one of the many reasons that we had selected Chris as our Soldier of the Year. So through all of these programs, we try to give back to the community as much as possible. And then in addition to that, we partner with Fisher House and many other opportunities such as the Chairman's Award, which Michelle will be getting into in a couple of minutes. But we're so thankful to be able to support the community in these ways. And if you'd like to tune in to view this year's Service Member of the Year event on July 12th, there is a link that is on the next slide, where you'll be able to watch live stream of the event as we honor this year's next recipients as well. Our Veteran of the Year being honored this year is David Kim, who is the founder of Children of Fallen Patriots, who you will be hearing from shortly as well. So all great groups that we support, and this community is better having these groups available and the resources that they offer. So thank you for having me today.
Thanks, Kelly. It's good to know about your work. I read the Military Times as a veteran and as someone who works with the military. It's really good to know. I didn't know about all these additional things that you did, as well as I love the Spotlight program that is really creating connection and allowing people to know about the resources that are out there. As we see, there's lots of people supporting veterans, but not everybody knows about it and how to reach those. So I'm really excited about your work. And I see, as a daughter of a retired Army colonel, I sympathize with you for that growing up. Now, can you tell me what was it that was the impetus for you to get into this work with the Military Times?
I think it's just kind of my nature. I mean, it's in my blood. Growing up in this community, it's just something that I've always wanted to give back and help. And when this job opportunity came up, I definitely jumped at it. And having the ability to be able to make a difference and support these groups on a regular basis, and not just by showing up to their events, but truly support in a meaningful way to be able to make sure that they can continue to get their word out, to raise money, to keep their organizations growing and supporting people. It just makes us want to keep building this to make it even stronger and bigger. And there is no other publisher or media outlet in the country that we have been able to find that is able to support groups in the way that we have in this nature, which is directly tied to the military community. So we are very thankful and fortunate that we have the ability and the resources to do it, and we will keep doing it and keep growing it.
Thank you so much, Kelly. I really appreciate that. So much a heart for the military, a passion for getting that information out, and like I said, assisting in the connectedness in this population. So important for all of us. So let me go ahead and introduce our next speaker, which is Michelle Horn. And she is Vice President of Communications at Fisher House, who is also connected in, as Kelly said, she is also connected in with them as well. So Michelle, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me here today. I have to say, before I get into talking a little bit about Fisher House, is I love the partnership that goes between organizations like Military Times and the other organizations you have here. It really is a belief of our founder, or of our current chairman and CEO, Ken Fisher, that you have to have, everybody has to bring all of their strengths to the fight, and to help our military and veteran families and our service members through all the struggles they go through. No one organization is perfect at everything, so it's best that we work together. So I'll give a brief overview of Fisher House, of our main mission, but we do quite a few other things to really help other organizations as well, like Kelly mentioned. So I'm not sure if my slides can pop up there. If not, that's okay. So Fisher House Foundation started more than 30 years ago by Zach Fisher, who wanted to do something for military and veteran families. He met the person who was chief of naval operations at the time, Admiral Trost. His wife, Pauline Trost, came forward and said, hey, you know, we need something for military families. She had seen a military family at Bethesda getting off of an aircraft and trying to you know, make their way to the hospital to take care of their loved one. And when she saw them, she was really concerned about where they were going to stay. And that's when she turned to their now friend, Zach Fisher, and said, hey, what, is there something you can do? We need something like a Ronald McDonald house for military families. And he said, you know, I'm a builder, I can do that. So he did. So he started building houses. He built the first, I think about 20 houses himself. And now our network has grown to 92 houses across the country where military veteran families can stay free of charge for as long as they're receiving medical care at a DoD or military hospital. Over these years, and we can kind of flip through the slides, you know, we've really believed that love is the best medicine, as Ken Fisher always likes to say. And we believe having families around is just critical to a speedy recovery. So the next slide. A Fisher House is a home away from home. Like I said, we have 92 houses. These houses, as you can see from the pictures here, are, you know, they're very large homes. They have 8 to 21 suites. We really are all over the country. We have 2 houses in North Carolina. I'm proud to say, having served my time at Fort Bragg for a while there, we have 1 house there at Fort Bragg, 1 at Camp Lejeune, and we have 2 houses that have been identified for the VA to build in future years. So we're looking at bringing a house to Durham, and we're looking at bringing another house to Fayetteville. And those 2 houses will serve the Veterans Affairs hospitals. And, you know, what we found over the last several years is that we've now have more houses serving the veteran community, because that care that you need when you're in service, as maybe some of us know who are veterans, it only increases once you leave the military. So we now have more veterans homes than we do for active duty, but we are still looking at where those needs are. We have a joint program going on in North Chicago that'll serve both the VA and the military. So we're always looking with both the DoD and the VA side to see where we can help and where the need is really most. So let's see, next slide. So like I said, we serve veterans, we serve active duty and their families, and we serve people, you know, basically when they're going through the toughest times. We are there to help for the caregivers, whoever that caregiver is. If your person that you need is your best friend from college, or someone that you grew up with, or your aunt or your uncle or your mom or your sister, we will help any of them. If that person changes, if you are in a long-term situation and you need to swap out because you've got other things going on, life doesn't stop, we can do that too. So we're there to help you get through to help the veterans get through the toughest times, but we're also there for their families. So many times we have active duty service members who may have a child who is going through a medical issue, or a spouse that's going through a medical issue. We're here for them while they're going through their care. So this isn't just for the military or veteran, this is for their families. And whoever is receiving that medical care gets the support of having their caregiver there. You can see some of the numbers at the bottom of the slide. You know, we have the 92 houses. We've helped more than 430,000 families over the past 30 years, saving over $547 million and providing 11.5 million days of lodging. One number I love is that on any given night, up to 1,300 families can be in a Fisher House. And that's relieving that cost of paying for expensive lodging fees. Next slide, please. So it depends. We talked a little bit about your family, friends, loved ones. It depends on each house what the exact eligibility is and the best thing to do. And this is a resource that, you know, in a briefing like this, you know, I really want to make sure people know this resource is there. The best place to start is at the house and say, hey, is there availability? Many of the VA houses require a referral from the hospital. It's very easy. It's just a matter of talking to the doctor that you're seeing and saying, hey, is there a Fisher House around? Or looking up on our website, fisherhouse.org, and it has information. We're happy to walk you through the process. There's never a charge for a family to stay at a Fisher House. Anybody can stay there free of charge, and we don't limit the amount of time other than saying you have to be receiving medical care. So if you're, you know, once that medical care is done, you know, then it's time to head home, but we're here so that you can have that relief when you're far from home, or even if you're, you know, the dependency, even if you're 50 miles away, you know, 50 miles can take a long time depending on where you live. I live in the DC area. 50 miles can be several hours in this region. And I know in North Carolina, having spent some good time driving around there, you can also hit traffic and things like that. So those are the requirements, but we do make exceptions when there's a necessity. Next slide, please. Okay, and you can go to the next slide. Thank you. Just reiterating that it's free. All right, so we provide the home where families can prepare meals, they can get a break. There are laundry rooms, kitchens, a dining room. It's all established as a community amongst the guests who are there. So people lean on each other. You'll often see, I recently visited the DCVA house, and there was a woman staying there whose husband was sadly towards the end of his medical care because he was, in hospice. And there was another family who was active duty. They had a young child who was being seen and had been referred to the local children's hospital. So this active duty family stayed at the Fisher House. This older family was staying at the Fisher House. And I loved seeing the comfort that this woman had from getting to give this young child a hug. It just gave her a new sense of comfort. She said it reminded her of her grandkids, and it brought her peace to have this younger family around during a difficult time. And oftentimes families lean on each other. You find that they share their experiences. Someone who may be at the beginning of their journey will share what, how things will be, how things have been for them, and help someone who's or work with someone who's towards the end of their journey or who's been around for a while. They share each other's stories, and they really bring comfort to one another and reduce some of the fear, really. Next slide, please. So like I said, 92 houses around the country. We have 2 houses in Landstuhl, Germany, 1 in the UK, helping our service members who are overseas. We have currently under construction a house in Lexington, Virginia, 1 in Columbia, South Carolina, and another in Bay Pines, Florida. So we are always looking to build. We have several more that we're getting ready to break ground on, and we're excited. This month, actually, we'll be launching our On the Road to 100 campaign, because we plan to get to 100 houses in the next couple of years. So there's no shortage of need. The 100th house is not going to be the end point, but we're excited to celebrate being able to provide so much support to our military and veteran families. Next slide, please. And so this is it's kind of to what Kelly alluded to. We do a lot of other things as well. If there's, we have a scholarship program available to children of the fallen. We have another one available to military children, so 2 separate programs. And we love getting those scholarships out to both those groups. We also have transportation that we provide through our Hero Miles program, which uses donated frequent flyer miles. And then we also have a Hotel for Heroes program. When a Fisher House isn't available, we can put people up in a hotel, just if it's full or if there's just not one in that area, as long as it's still going under the VA and DoD requirements. Another thing that I just returned from myself, we support both the Invictus Games and the Warrior Games, which are adaptive sports events. And those adaptive sports are so critical because it's an opportunity for families and service members and veterans to celebrate their achievements after going through, a difficult time, injury, or being wounded. Those celebrations, we like to say, are coming full circle. We were there at the beginning when they were going through the really immediate crisis, and now we're here to celebrate with them. What we do with the Invictus Games and Warrior Games is we bring all the families there. So we take care of their lodging, their hotels, or their lodging, we take care of their food, we take care of tickets, their flights, so that there is nothing for them to worry about other than how awesome and how proud they can be of their athlete and their competitor. And then another thing that I can't remember if it's on the next slide or not, so I'll talk about it here. Kelly talked about the Chairman's Awards. We recently just changed the name of this from the Newman's Award to the Chairman's Award. Chairman's Award is a grant program that we do in partnership with Military Times, where we give out grants to other nonprofits who have innovative programs. As your secretary talked about, using imagination and creativity. I think this is a great way that we're able to support other nonprofits who are coming up with these super programs to help service members, veterans, and their families. And that's everything from job programs, suicide prevention and awareness, spouse employment, which was another great program I hear that, is happening in North Carolina, reducing those barriers. All of those types of programs are ones that we're not experts at, but we can help other organizations get the word out. And with the support of Military Times, we've been able to really impact many, many organizations over the past 20 plus years. So it's very exciting. So our grant program, for anybody who knows of an organization out there, that'll open up again in the beginning of next year. And, we love giving out grants to programs that really will help our military and veteran community. Let's see, next slide, please. Okay, so I talked about the Hero Miles and Hotel for Heroes program already. So we can skip this. And let's see, next slide, please. Let me see, that might be. So, and I think I talked, the next slide is about our family programs. And then I'll just touch on, which is again, the Warrior Games and the Invictus Games. Very, if you want to see something that's so inspiring as watching these athletes compete, it was probably, after 20 years of service, I can easily say that this was one of the most inspiring things that I've ever attended. Next slide, please. And then just a little bit about our ratings. We have worked really hard to make sure that as much money as possible that comes in goes right back to our programs. We are very highly rated, which we are proud of how much we've been able to ensure that we're doing the right thing with the money that's entrusted to us and get it right back to those most deserving heroes and their families. So that's just a little bit about our ratings. And we can flip to the last, I think we can go with this as the last slide. You can see, oh, I'm sorry, let me see here. I'm getting a little off with my slides. But we can use this as the last one. It's just some imagery of Fisher Houses. If you would like more information about Fisher House, we have everything on our website, fisherhouse.org. Of course, we're on social media. And if you have any questions or any need, please seek out our website. The biggest thing for me is making sure that people know this resource is there for them. And that's the most important message I can ever say is please share the word that, this is a resource that can help reduce the burden in those times of crisis. Thank you.
Thank you, Michelle, for that presentation. Wow, I have learned so much from both you and Kelly. I was not aware of this resource of Fisher House and how integral it is to the lives of our military and veterans and their families going through a difficult time in a crisis like that. And this is an incredible resource. So I'm really glad to know about this. And you said that you're looking at building 2 new houses for the VA community in Fayetteville and Durham. And that's really great to hear, as those are 2 areas where we are having an exploding population of veterans moving into this area. That's really great to know. And a question I just wanted to ask you before we move forward is, are our VA facilities aware of this resource so they're able to give this information out when a family is coming in during a crisis like this?
Yeah, we work really hard to get the word out. We work closely with the VA. I mean, we have a person who manages all 50 houses that are part of the VA network. And she is very, one of her main missions is to make sure hospitals know to spread the word. I think they, it's kind of on healthcare providers to help families as they come in. I have seen that there's a really strong network of care teams that talk through what resources are available. But, one of the ways that, like we always say, if you need to, just start with fisherhouse.org and see what's available. Call the house manager and say, do you have availability? And if they say, I just spent a week with our house managers. We had our first conference bringing everybody together again after the battles of COVID over the last few years. And these are the most passionate people. These are people who really do devote many years of their lives to taking care of military and veteran families and have that hugs on approach with them, and getting to know people. And they have relationships with the hospitals and medical centers, but they'll also not only just be there for families, but they'll walk them through the process to help them make sure if they're eligible and they're coming through, how do they get them through? I talked to a family last night who is looking for this as a resource, and they weren't sure if they've had availability. And we said, don't worry, there's the hotel program we've got too. So we'll take care of you. What I've seen with everybody at Fisher House Foundation is they bend over backwards, trying to make sure that the service members and their families have this for them and is there for them.
Wow, that is so great to know. And I could really see your passion for this as well. Your heart just comes through as you're speaking about it, how you really care about these families. And these are people going through really some of the worst days, and to know that you've got this whole family organization with Fisher House that is supporting them, as well as looking to the children with providing these scholarships. Amazing. I didn't realize that was happening out there as well. And I love the long-term commitment you have with following rehab with the games as well. It's not just hey, we're glad we're there during this critical time, but we care beyond that. You have a long-term commitment. Wonderful to know how you're supporting our families out there, our military and veteran families, and such a big effort going into this, and I really appreciate that. Thank you so much. And I want to let everyone who's here listening today know that if you have a question for one of our speakers, please pop it up in the Q&A box, and we'll be happy to ask them at the end when we finish with our presentations. So if you have a question, go ahead and ask. We'd be happy to get it to our panelists. So as we move forward, we're going on to our next speaker this morning, Betsy Mercado, who is the co-founder and executive director of Objective Zero Foundation. Excited about hearing about this one as it touches my heart as well with suicide prevention. Betsy, welcome.
Good morning. Thank you so much for having me. It's really great to see Military Times and Fisher House Foundation on this call as well, because we're connected as well, and I'll touch on that during my presentation. So a little bit about Objective Zero. Our founders and our staff are all connected to the military community in some way. We're veterans, service members, spouses, and we've all been affected by veteran or service member suicide. And that really is what drives our passion for helping this community. I'm the spouse of an infantryman, and sadly, we've lost more people in our lives to suicide than to combat. And so it's something very near and dear to our hearts. Just to start a little bit with the origin story of Objective Zero. It looks like my slides are sideways, not sure what happened there, so maybe it's not worth putting the slides up. But my fellow co-founder, Justin Miller, really struggled with his transition out of the Army and the effects of his service. He had traumatic brain injury, post-traumatic stress, and he was really struggling with sleeping through the night. He was going on a week of only sleeping a few hours a night and reached his breaking point and was ready to take his life. And the only thing that stopped him from taking his life is that his weapon wasn't loaded, and he didn't want to wake his wife by loading his gun. Justin did the right thing. He reached out for help, but couldn't get an appointment to be seen for 2 days. Luckily, my husband, Chris, who served with Justin, saw over social media that Justin was struggling, and Chris reached out to Justin. The two spoke on the phone for over 6 hours, and it really just sparked the idea that the simple act of listening can save lives, that you don't need to be a mental health professional in order to be there, listen, and get someone connected to those resources. So we decided to create the Objective Zero Foundation. And our mission is to connect the military and veteran community, and we define that as service members, veterans, their families, and caregivers to mental health and wellness resources and to a network of peer and civilian support to prevent suicide. And we do that through the Objective Zero app. I'm sure many of you are aware of the situation of veteran suicide, the issue. We're losing on average 19 service members and veterans every single day to suicide. And that's at a rate over 1.5 times that of the general population. We know that service members and veterans between the ages of 18 and 34 are most at risk. And so that's why we wanted to use mobile app technology, because everyone has access, or most service members and veterans in that age range are using mobile and web-based technology. We do know that prior to 2000, suicide rates in the military were actually lower than that of the general population. Sadly, over the last 5 years, those rates have risen 40%. I think one of the big issues is this issue is so difficult to tackle because there's so many factors that contribute to someone's suicidal risk. It's unemployment and money issues. It's relationship issues, mental and physical health issues, access to lethal means, and lack of social connection. And in addition to all of these, May is very military heavy month in terms of Memorial Day, Military Spouse Appreciation Day, but it's also Mental Health Awareness Month. And so we're kind of at the intersection of all these really important things to Objective Zero. We did a lot of research and testing and wanted to use technology to replicate that call between Chris and Justin at scale. We learned that Justin wasn't alone with his struggles in transitioning out of the military, and people both within and outside the military are really struggling. We wanted to create something different, a more upstream approach to suicide prevention. So we developed and deployed the Objective Zero mobile app. Our solution allows us to connect the military and veteran community to resources and peer support 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And technology allows us to reach people where they are. Our users can connect to our network of peer support through text, voice, and video chat. The Objective Zero app is free to download and free to use, and you can find it on the Google Play Store and Apple App Store. We're upstream from your traditional crisis lines and text lines in that our users have the ability to filter through our network to find someone most like them, someone that's of the same military branch, the same age, gender, location, military occupational specialty, and places that they've deployed to. North Carolina is actually, we have some of the most highest number of users because of the high percentage of military and veteran connected people in your state. So we have people using the app every day in North Carolina. We're also a little bit different in that, when you call an 800 number or text, you get kind of whoever is on the other end of the line, and they may or may not understand the military or veteran struggles or way of life, and they may not understand what you're going through. So that peer support and that connection is so vital. We also have a number of mental health and wellness tools, training, and activities within the app. There's yoga and mindfulness provided by Comeback Yoga and Warriors at Ease. There's connection to free or low-cost mental health care from our partners at Give an Hour, as well as Cohen Veterans Network and Headstrong, access to job and building skills opportunities, retreats, outdoor activities, just a wide range of opportunities that help the military and veteran community get connected to wellness and help build their resilience. We also have a web app. You can get that right from our Objective Zero website as well. That's objectivezero.org. Since launching the app in 2017, we have supported over 20,000 people that have downloaded the app. We've connected over 12,000 service members and veterans to mental health and wellness resources, and we've trained over 2,400 volunteers in suicide prevention efforts. We have community members, our app users, and volunteers in all 50 states and 27 countries across the world. So wherever our service members and veterans are, we also have users and volunteers in those areas. When we think about who is using the Objective Zero app, we allow anyone over the age of 18 to use it that's connected to the military in any way. About 80% of our users are veterans or service members themselves. And then the rest are comprised of military family members, veteran family members, and caregivers. Let's see here. Without the slides, I'll skip a little bit of this. While technology plays a really large role in facilitating connections, at the heart of Objective Zero are our volunteers. We have, like I said, over 2,400 that are willing to take the calls and texts of our users at all times of the day. And since we have volunteers throughout the world, someone in the United States, a veteran, might be struggling and be able to connect with someone that's in Korea, for example, that has served in the infantry, for example, as well, and making those connections and building that shortcut to trust. We offer a number of training opportunities for our volunteers. We have 3 different levels of training. The first one is the baseline training, VA's Operations Safe training, and then we work with Psych Armor Institute and have over 24 courses to help train our volunteers on how to talk to veterans, how to coach someone into care, understanding the signs and symptoms that someone's in crisis, dealing with post-traumatic stress, traumatic brain injury, as well. Our last level of training is crisis response plan training, and that allows us to guide our users through building a plan for when they're in crisis to refer back to so they don't hit that point of crisis. We had Michelle from the Fisher House Foundation, and thanks to their chairman's award grant last year, we're actually implementing additional training and tools right within the app to include a daily check-in mood tracker and symptom tracker. And so it's support from other organizations. It's been mentioned that the importance of us, we're all working together. And because of organizations like Fisher House Foundation and free advertising from the Military Times, we're able to not only provide support, but reach a great deal of service members and veterans that otherwise would not know of Objective Zero as a resource. One of the questions I get asked most often is, well, how can I support Objective Zero? And we believe there are 3 ways that anyone can support Objective Zero: champion, connect, or contribute. Champion our cause to the service members, veterans, and families that you know in your life that could benefit from having greater access to peer support or to wellness resources. Connect us with other organizations and people that are kind of in the same space or looking to get together, or contribute. And that's not just monetary, but contributing your own time, talents, and experiences. If there's a way that you see the Objective Zero app being able to better provide support, we'd love to hear those ideas. We work with a number of volunteers to not only develop our code base, but add in some of those tools, some of those resources as well. So just want to say thank you so much again for the opportunity to share Objective Zero with all of you.
Thank you, Betsy. Critical mission that you're doing there, critical work. And it's so great to hear how you are working together in a connected fashion with Military Times, with Michelle, and how these are all integrating this whole family of resources together. And here at North Carolina Department of Military and Veteran Affairs, that is one of our passions, is connection and connecting statewide all of these resources and getting this information out to everyone who has a question or is in need of this. And I'm so glad you mentioned the statistics of the number of suicides every day that are happening in the veteran population. It should shock us a little bit to see. And thank you so much for mentioning that. And I love this concept of having this app and its availability, as we're, creatures of habit. And now we've become so tactile with our phones in our hands at all moments. And having that app is so important. And I'm sure you've seen in your research and work with this that time is the big factor when it comes to suicide, between ideology and action. Just having a pause there is so necessary. And I see you with this app can really step in and play that. Do you see that in your work?
Absolutely. While we want to address some of those issues before someone's in crisis, we do have people that are kind of at the end of their rope. And so just being able to make that quick connection with someone, with a peer, and if we need to get them connected to the Veterans Crisis Line or to emergency services, we're able to do that as well. But peer support is just one of those things that is so understated. We're all in this together. We all believe that we can all help someone. We may not be able to help everyone, but each of us can help someone. So just being aware of what's going on around us, being able to connect with our loved ones, our coworkers, our battle buddies, is so important.
That's right. And in the military veteran, we community, we are our family. And that's how we operate as a family. Like you said, we've got that connectedness. Like you said, our battle buddies, our compatriots in this all together. And there's so wonderful unity there. And that peer support network is a powerful thing. I love the training that you're doing. I'm a big fan of Psych Armor and their training. I believe in what they've got going on. They break it all down into simple pieces, and really allow you to make those kind of connections and learn those concepts. So I thank you so much for that, Betsy. I really, a great resource for everyone as well. Thank you everyone for putting those questions in the chat. We will get to them. I will get your questions asked to our panelists here shortly. I do want to present though, our final speaker, Banna Miller, who is a Senior Director of Marketing for Children of Fallen Patriots. Welcome, Banna.
Thank you so much for having us all here today. It's an honor to tell you about our organization in partnership with Military Times and with Fisher House and Objective Zero. Children of Fallen Patriots Foundation was founded 20 years ago. We're celebrating our 20th anniversary this year by David and Cynthia Kim. David is a West Point graduate who served in Operation Just Cause in Panama, and one of his fellow soldiers, Sergeant William Gibbs from the 7th Infantry Division, was killed in action during Operation Just Cause, leaving behind his young wife and an unborn daughter. And that experience stayed with the Kims because something that Sergeant Gibbs worried about was sending his daughter to college. And so the Children of Fallen Patriots mission is to provide college scholarships and educational counseling to military children who have lost a parent in the line of duty from all branches of the U.S. Armed Forces. And it's not just service members who have been killed in action. We also provide scholarships to children whose parents have died by suicide and who have died in training accidents. Because we believe that a college education is the most important gift that we can give and is an essential investment in the future of America. It's also one of the best ways that we can honor those who died defending our country. For students with a widowed parent, whether or not that parent was a service member, the educational attainment gaps across secondary education levels persist. There are single parents who are left behind to care for their families. They're not always women, but in 98% of the cases, we are talking about mothers who are left behind to care for their families after their service member is killed. And they often face significant financial challenges. 60% of them have trouble making ends meet. And then government aid doesn't cover the full cost of a college degree. There's an approximate gap of about $25,000 per student per degree. So these students are about 9% less likely to finish high school and 20% less likely to attend college. And finally, they're about 37% less likely to graduate from college. So our goal is to provide all Gold Star families with the opportunity to get a college degree. How we do that is by employing Gold Star students. So there's an element of educational counseling. It's not just a matter of writing a check and sending it to these Gold Star students and their families. We actually do peer counseling because so many of these students are first generation college graduates. And so they're facing challenges beyond financial challenges. So we set them up with peer counselors. We provide technological stipends as well. And so, you know, we really see a difference in their graduation rates. There's the full cycle through college applications all the way to internships and full-time employment. We host career symposiums. We make connections for internships and full-time employment. And I mentioned the educational counseling and the personal mentoring because all of our scholarship administrators are Gold Star family members, and in many cases are former recipients themselves. So what that means is that our Children of Fallen Patriots graduation rates far exceed the general population. The national average graduation rate for students who have lost a parent is 46%. Our Children of Fallen Patriots scholarship recipients are graduating college at a 91% graduation rate. And that is even higher for some of our BIPOC students. The graduation rate for Black students in the general population who've lost a parent is 31%, and they're graduating at 93% from our programs. And then with Hispanic students, it's a 19% graduation rate, and they're graduating at an 84% graduation rate from our program. So Fallen Patriots is really there for our students from the time that they're looking at colleges in high school all the way through their first job out of college and beyond. And what that means is that we're seeing a lift in their lifetime earnings. All of our recipients are graduating college debt-free, and then they, again, with that educational support, they're able to lift their lifetime earnings by up to $405,000. We have some amazing folks on our board, Mrs. Holly Petraeus, Colonel Jack Jacobs, who all have been incredible champions for our mission over the last 20 years. We've given out over $55 million in total support to 2,200 students nationally. The numbers that we are aware of are that there are about 25,000 Gold Star students who are going to be eligible for our services over the coming years. The nature of our military engagements has changed. It's, certainly in the past few years with our withdrawal from Afghanistan, but many of these Gold Star family members are going to be coming of college age this year and in the years to come. And so our dedication and our duty to them is really just beginning as they continue to age into our services. So we rely on Gold Star family members and our military community, and certainly our wonderful partners like Military Times, to help us get the word out there, because when a family loses a service member, this is certainly not top of mind. It's not one of the first things that they're thinking about, but we are standing by to help them in the years to come. So with that, I'll turn it back over to you, Andrea.
Banna, thank you so much for that, and learning about this wonderful scholarship opportunity that is available. I've got to hear about each of you presenting different scholarship opportunities. It's good to know about this, so we can promote it within our state as well. The North Carolina Department of Military and Veteran Affairs has a scholarship as well for children of wartime service members. So let's make sure we're getting the word out so people can know about these services and apply for them as well. Peer counseling, again, it looks like your organization is grabbing up these families and covering them from the beginning of the process, like you said, from the application all the way to employment. Is that correct?
That's absolutely correct. So when we have families who come to us early enough in the process, we are able to provide stipends for applications and technological stipends if they need a computer when they go off to school. And actually, if they come to us sort of later in their college experience and they hadn't heard of us before, and so they were taking out loans to pay for college, and many times we will repay that loan amount. So really, our goal at the end of the day is to make sure that each one of these students is graduating from college debt-free.
That's amazing. That is absolutely amazing. As we know, as student debt is a problem for everyone, and to see that you guys are lifting up these children of these families that have had where the service member has given the ultimate sacrifice for our country, and that you are assisting these kids from applying to college all the way to going into employment, and like you said, going in there debt free. Thank you
And
so much.
absolutely. It's a true pleasure and honor. And I do just want to clarify, I think I referred to Gold Star students. A Gold Star family is an immediate family member of a fallen service member who has died. So the Gold Star within the military community is used to symbolize a fallen soldier. So apologies for not explaining.
No, that was great. Thank you so much for that. And I am impressed by that 91% graduation rate. Wow. That's amazing.
That peer counseling, that emotional support, in addition to the financial support, really makes all the difference. Being able to form bonds and form community with other students who know where they're coming from and what they've been through, we know just provides all the difference for these kids.
You're right. That's fantastic. All right. There have been some questions coming in the chat box. So we're going to kind of move into some of those questions now for our panelists. This one is for Kelly. How are the service members selected for nominations for Service Member of the Year? Kelly, can you help us with that?
Sure. It is through a peer nomination program that opens later in the year, and it is a program that is fully vetted through command, in addition to reading all the nominations that are provided as well. So this is an award that is supported fully by command. Each of the service chiefs presents the citation and award at the event as well.
All right. Okay, thank you for answering that for us. Now, this one I think we're going to direct to Betsy. Did you see an increase in suicide rates among vets during the pandemic?
That's a great question. Actually, suicide rates decreased for veterans. They went up for service members, but the veteran population decreased significantly, specifically over 2020. We saw less suicide. So it's trending downward for veterans, but unfortunately trending upwards for service members.
Thank you for that information. And I have, as someone who works in that field as well, I had noticed that. And I do believe that the VA has made suicide prevention their top priority along with homelessness prevention. And so I think we're seeing the results of that work that the VA is doing out there and getting the message out about resources. And you are very much a part of that in the work that you are doing. So thank you for that. Now this question is open to our panelists and whoever wants to chime in. Several veterans have committed suicide because of their inability to get disability benefits. This happened not long ago to a vet in Durham who actually committed suicide in the VA parking lot. This question says, do you see a connection between their inability to get needed support and suicide?
I'm happy to start. So we know that a majority of veterans that die by suicide are not connected to VA services within, I believe it's 1 to 2 years of their death. We do know that navigating the VA can often be hard. There are a number of resources out there outside the VA that help veterans with that transition out of the military and also accessing benefits. But absolutely, if you don't have that support when you need it, we know that financial issues are often a huge stressor for our veterans. So there definitely is correlation between lack of access to resources and benefits and suicide.
As someone who works for the North Carolina Department of Military and Veteran Affairs, we have well-trained veteran service officers to assist veterans and their families and dependents with at getting their benefits. So if you don't know about us or about, we are free. Please come call us, go to our veteran service offices, almost every county in the state of North Carolina has a veteran service office and veteran service officers to assist our veterans and their families with accessing and getting a hold of their benefits. So please take advantage of that. I think it's unfortunately a well-kept secret. So please know that our department here, the North Carolina Department of Military and Veteran Affairs, is out there to help you get a hold of all those benefits and provide connection to all these wonderful organizations that we're talking with today, so you can access the wonderful work that they're doing to assist you and your families. We have another question. I've never seen these organizations advertised on TV. I see others, but not these. Are you advertising somewhere that we can share with others, because all of your work is incredible?
I'd love to take this for a second, if you don't mind. I think that for all of our organizations, I can say that, you know, investing in advertising is very expensive, and it takes away from the money we're able to put back into the programs. And that's why really the work that, you know, Kelly's team at Military Times is so incredible. The donated advertising that they give us has a huge impact getting to military and veteran, you know, the community. You know, we're always looking for opportunities. I know we use a lot of word of mouth at Fisher House. We also have another partner that's willing to give us some advertising time, but we don't like to spend a lot of that money on anything other than our programs. So we do depend on social media and, you know, going through traditional media as well to help get the word out. It's extremely expensive to advertise on mainstream media. And when you really kind of dig into that with nonprofits, and I think all of these nonprofits here feel the same way, when you do spend that money, you really, it makes a big chunk of what money you have comes out of what you can do for the communities we serve.
Yeah,
Thank you, Michelle. I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to reiterate what Michelle said. 95% of the dollars that we raise go straight back to scholarships and programs to support our students. So that doesn't leave a whole lot left for advertising. Certainly feel free to share our website. There's a landing page there to nominate a student. Many of our students, our eligible students, haven't heard of us. So yeah, we use social media, we use as much earned media as we can, and then our website, so fallenpatriots.org.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that information. I mean, you are using the money that you have to serve our military veteran populations, and as you said, it is very expensive. And so, I would encourage those out there listening today that if you're looking for a resource in the state of North Carolina, contact your state agencies that focus on those specific areas, like our department. If you live in another state, if your family member is in Virginia, contact the Virginia Department of Veteran Affairs, and so on. Those state agencies try to be that connecting piece between the federal pipeline, as well as to our wonderful nonprofits, organizations out here. So contact your agencies, those state agencies, to be that connecting pipeline for you. So here's a great question for each of you. Can you each speaker share their most powerful story or experience associated with their organization, something that brings their work and mission straight to the heart of why this work is important? So Kelly, let's jump right to you and start with you first. A powerful
Sure.
story.
We work with a group called Dove, which is a group that serves to find kidney donors for the veteran population. We've been working with them for about the last year, and to date, because of the advertising that we have given them, they have had 8 successful kidney transplants directly related to the ads from veterans to veterans. And I think that it's so symbolic of how effective this advertising can be. And then on top of that, they have had countless other people who have been screened and either are not a match yet and are waiting to find a match, or unfortunately were not able to donate. But that's probably the most impactful story that I can give, aside from all the work that these other great groups do.
Wonderful. Michelle, can you share with us the story?
That question's only hard because there's so many good ones. I love one story that our president, Dave Coker, shares, where he was in Texas visiting one of the houses, and a veteran came up to him and said, "Thank you for saving my life." And Dave is a very humble man, said, "I didn't save your life. We just gave you a place to stay." And he explained that the cost of staying at and getting the medical care he needed was so expensive that he knew he wouldn't be able to bring his spouse with him, and he couldn't imagine going through this without her. So he had actually elected to not get treatment for cancer and was planning to die. That was his plan. And then he learned about Fisher House and that he could stay for free and he could bring his wife. And he's alive today because he had a place to stay and his wife was able to be there with him. So I think that just goes to the heart of it, that, being able to have your family there really, like we say, is the best medicine. It is so critical to have that support system. So that's probably gave me goosebumps just saying it. So I think that's one of the strongest ones.
That's right. It takes the village, and like you said, that family support is so critical. Betsy, let's have a story from you, please.
This is a really hard question because there's so many good ones. I'll just do the most recent. Last week, I had the opportunity to speak for the Fisher House managers, and the day before my presentation, I got to use this in my presentation to them. We had a female veteran that's been using the app over quite some time, and she sent me an email and said, "I've been talking with an ambassador. She's also a veteran. She is so caring, empathetic, helpful, and sincere, which makes a huge difference. So I want you to know that she has helped me tremendously when I'm in crisis, and I'm so grateful for Objective Zero and for her." I'm like, "Can I use this to share with others?" I think it just speaks to the importance of that peer support. We have a high number of female veterans on our platform. And so being able to, from a female veteran, to connect with a female veteran, and that empathy and listening, it just goes so far. So it's always, we know that we're making a difference, but when we get that feedback directly from our community members, it's so powerful, impactful.
Thank you, Betsy. And I want you to know I'm going to download this app today, because we all go through these emotional times, up and down, and to know that there's that peer support at my fingertips, to have that mindfulness, to take that moment to breathe, to think about yoga and those things that are offering there. I love this. So I'm downloading that today, and I encourage everyone who doesn't have it to download that app today as well. If not for yourself, for a family member, someone somebody you're working with, please, I encourage you to do that. Banna, we're going to ask you now if you have a story that's touched you, if you can just pull one out, please.
So I'm going to do the same thing that Betsy did and do the most recent, because there are just so many, especially this time of year. We're in graduation season. But we recently talked to Cameron, who is a graduate of Penn State University. She's currently working for NBC Universal in New York City. Her father was killed in a plane crash when she was just a baby, and so she grew up just her and her mom. And Children of Fallen Patriots was happy to support her education at Penn State. And so when she graduated and she got her job at NBC, the first thing that she did with her very first paycheck was donate some of it back to Children of Fallen Patriots. And she is just the sweetest and most incredible student, as all of our scholarship recipients and alumni are. they really create a family and support each other. And it makes each of our days incredibly blessed at Children of Fallen Patriots.
Thank you. Thank you for that story too. And as everyone can see, these speakers have so many, they've been touched so many times by the work that they're doing. And that's what keeps them going. That's what keeps them passionate, is knowing the eternal impact they're having. It's not just a single moment in time, but they're getting to see this over and over in the lives of these people that they've touched so much. And Kelly, I have a question for you. Are the military times available to anyone? This person would love to read it. And can anyone attend the awards programs? Because they're excited about that.
You can attend virtually. The actual event itself is an invite only to be in the room, but we do have a link for people to live stream in and attend virtually. The Military Times publications are available to anyone to subscribe to. You can pick them up on the Exchange and Commissary newsstands, but you can also visit us online as well. So we see about 10 million people a month come through our websites and read our content on a regular basis. And the Military Times brand covers Army Times, Air Force Times, Marine Corps Times, and Navy Times.
Wow, that's great to know. Like I said, I get your pop-ups all the time on my here at work, and I am reading it constantly to keep up on what's going on. And I did not know about all the services that you offered as far as the obituaries, the veteran-owned business promotion that's out there. Thank you for doing that work, because we do want to continue to support our communities. I want to read a comment to you, ladies. It says, these women are incredible. I am so blown away by what they do. Powerful women. I'm so proud to be a woman, and I will have to get out and do some real work to follow their lead. Thank you. They want to tell you they're so excited about your work, and they love the program today. North Carolina OSHR, they're loving this program, and they have learned so much. So, and I just want to tell all our people who are out there watching today, thank you for tuning in and seeing about these wonderful organizations that are out there. And during this wonderful month of military appreciation, that you see there are a lot of people out there that are doing work for our military, our veterans. They're passionate about it. They care about it. North Carolina, we're a state, as Assistant Secretary Aponte reminded you about, the large population of military and spouses and our National Guard and our reserves and our veterans. They're out there. Please be aware of them, support them, love them as our department does here. We love all these populations. And so be aware of these organizations. I ask you to support these organizations, check into them, go to their website, see how you can personally support them as well in your work, and just get out there on the ground and supporting our military and our veteran populations. So, Wendy, I want to pass this over to you, and the North Carolina Department of Military and Veteran Affairs is so excited to be a part of this this month, and we thank you for inviting us and realizing our passion and support for these populations. Wendy?
Andrea, thank you so much for being our moderator for this program today. And again, I have a couple of comments that I wanted to just go over briefly within the chat. Thank you so much for all of your work. It's been very inspiring to listen to all of you today, and a great program, Soldiers for Life. So that came from a fellow veteran. I just wanted to also say that this month is also Mental Health Awareness Month. And a lot of these programs are tied to mental health awareness. So again, all of these programs just really help to solidify the veteran community and the military community in general. And thank you all for everything that you're doing. And on behalf of the Office of State Human Resources, I would like to thank Secretary Aponte, Andrea Allard, Banna Miller, Betsy Mercado, Kelly Fasser, and Michelle Horn, all of you for coming and doing your presentations today and getting around everything that we had to present all of this very inspiring and positive programs that we have for members of the military and their families. And this is not something that's just during the month of May. This is something that's every day. So whenever you see someone that's a member of our military, please thank them for their service. And I'd like to thank all of you for your service and all the contributions that you've done. And again, on behalf of the State Office of State Human Resources, thank you for being here today and presenting all of your programs. And I would like to tell everyone to tune in next week for our program that's going to be focused on Older Americans Month. So we will have another program, and feel free to tune in. And I will also notify everyone of when this video is available. And again, thank you to everyone for supporting our military to not only today, but every day. Thank you and have a good day.